Every sign and every house, a journey starts and we allow the universe so vast and true. AstroViktor, it's here for you.
Hi, my dear Astro family. Today we are going to be looking at the upcoming new moon taking place in the sign of Leo on 2°, and the date is the 24th or the 25th of July, depending on your location. So this is a very complex new moon. There's a lot of goodies in it, and there's a couple of challenging positions also. We are going to be talking about two asteroids as well, Hidalgo and Eurydice. So I recommend staying till the very end. I know that you have got that crave to click on your sign and then check out what's going to happen to you. Yes, I'm going to be giving you a few sentences about each of the rising sign as well, but the beginning of the video carries so many good information that you can put in your own chart, and then you will be able to discern it, understand through your own life examples. Okay, so that's one thing I would have liked to share with you. And on top of that, my yearly forecasts are getting ready. They are going to be sent out to you on the 15th of August. This is going to be a super good report. Each sign is approximately about 2.5, 3 hours long. Let's just call it this way. Don't just face 2026, master it. This is an essential astrological forecast that is going to navigate you through the year. And I think there are once-in-a-lifetime planetary alignments that you need guidance with. Forget what you think, you know about astrology. 2026 is such an astrological landscape, so unique to a certain extent that potentially it's going to go down in modern, like in human history, basically. We've got the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries. We've got the Uranus-Pluto trine, which is going to be actually lasting for about 3-4 years. So potentially, I would say that the report is going to be not only navigating your life in 2026, but in the remaining of the decade as well. We've got the mini grand trine happening with the outer planets, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. So you will get a lot out of this report. Basically, this report is going to be somehow your personal blueprint for success. I'm going to be giving you a lot of positive scenarios, how you can use it for your own advantage. You can only buy just your rising sign, but if you want to be a little bit more on the thorough side, you might want to be buying your sun or moon sign as well. And maybe if you are an astrology enthusiast, you can buy all 12 signs also in one package. And if you would like to get weekly forecast reports, then I'll prepare about 15 to 25 minutes video each rising sign each week. Sometimes it's actually 30 minutes, but it really depends on how many planetary aspects we've got. So last week, each sign was about 15 to 17 minutes, but a few weeks ago, each sign was about 30 minutes long. So, I cannot guarantee that it's always going to be 30 minutes, but the 15-minute marker is always there. Now, let's get started with this Leo new moon. First of all, let's just cover what a new moon is. A new moon is about new beginnings. And in the topic of Leo, so that's self-expression, confidence, creativity, leadership. Leo is a fixed sign ruled by the sun, and it embodies warmth, generosity, the desire to shine. So when the new moon occurs in the sign of Leo, it amplifies these qualities, basically making it an excellent time to set intentions and maybe to take risks, to take bold steps towards your own personal growth and aspirations. So the Leo archetype is about self-expression, authenticity. It is about embracing of who we are without any type of apology. I'm going to be expressing my unique talents, my passions. I find my own voice. This is the sign of confidence and self-love. So it's all about figuring out how you can feel good in your own skin, how to boost your self-esteem, and in a way, reclaim your own power. I really feel like reclaiming your own power is a huge topic because this new moon will be opposed by Pluto. It's about celebrating your individual life. It's about recognizing the good also, what is happening around us, because we are always surrounded by little good things as well. It's the sign of creativity and passionate or passion or personal projects. It's kind of like the creative fire. And that fire needs to be fed so it remains steady. So somehow this new moon encourages us to initiate or to start that little flame within us, which is going to lead to a creative endeavor. Whether it is art, music, or writing, whatever it is, it must bring you joy. It's also the sign of leadership, actually. So if you have been hesitant to step into a leadership role or to take charge of a situation, then this new moon would like you to work on that. Leo is the sign of joy and playfulness. So somehow we are reminded to connect with our little inner child within us because the child always is meant to be having fun. And we all have got a little child living with us, but we have forgotten about it. Leo energy spotlights something in our lives. And obviously, you need to be looking at what house it is falling into, but it makes it visible. So it is about being in the spotlight, allowing ourselves to be seen, to be appreciated for who we are. And I would say that the new moon gives us the opportunity to start fresh, to set intentions. So let's set in those intentions in a bold and confident manner so that we can eventually manifest something good out of it. Now, these are the general topics that are connected to Leo. Of course, we would be able to talk about this more in detail, but maybe let's have a look at the very first aspect that this new moon has, and that is an opposition to Pluto. And that's a very tight opposition. Pluto is retrograde though. So we've got certain type of power struggles going on here. This opposition is very classically about power struggles, while Leo wants to shine and lead and wants to get things done individually. This Pluto demands a reassessment of those power structures, often at a societal level or on a collective level. The reason why it's reassessment is because Pluto is retrograde. And secondly, it's in the sign of Aquarius, which is all about collective level. Because Pluto is retrograde, it might also suggest that these transformations are internal. So we might need to be revisiting past issues rather than straightforward changes that we are making like outwards. We're going to have to start within us. It's very much about me versus them, like the individual versus the collective. That becomes the core tension here, where maybe I've got my individual needs, and there is the needs, or there are the needs of the group or the society. I've got my personal desires for recognition, and I want to be expressing of who I am, but it clashes somehow with that group kind of like principle and even with the movement. It's about revealing hidden truth. I mean, Pluto, whatever it touches, it reveals something about it. So Pluto is revealing something about who we are. And often with an opposition, it comes with a certain type of uncomfortability. So a secret is revealed about us. We're getting manipulated, for example, or by a friend of ours. somehow a friend potentially might be exposing us. Obviously, it could be a group of people as well, not just friends though. And there is the tension here, or like Pluto is acting like a catalyst right now for a change, a profound change that we are talking about. So we might be being forced by the society to accept something that potentially we are against. So let me give you a couple of political or global as well as individual scenarios. So, I mean, on one hand, this could really talk to us about leadership challenges. Like we've got these existing leaders and they face significant challenges or even criticism from a movement somehow, like a public opinion. And maybe we are demanding the leaders for accountability, for transparency. And therefore, this aspect can talk to us about protests and social upheavals as well. Now, I would like to say that the Pluto-Sun conjunction went down around the inauguration day. So it's worth starting to go back to January and then looking at if we had any type of leadership challenges. Did we have any type of protests, for example, and so on? Because then the opposition is somehow the culmination of that. Or do we feel that there were certain type of secrets planted there, which might be getting, for example, revealed during the opposition? So there is this civil disobedience that is happening with this energy. And maybe it is connected to individual freedom. Like, I don't want to be controlled by the government, for example, or any type of political movements. I want my freedom back. Or even it could represent the misuse of any type of power, for example. I mean, there could be technological regulations that are coming up. For example, debates or movements around data privacy, artificial intelligence, censorship as well, or how much like power the tech giants have over our lives. So we might be demanding somehow that there should be new policies or regulations at least proposed, or the existing ones are challenged. Also, this is about democracy versus centralized power topics. So, because the Leo is very much about the monarchy, it's kind of like a little bit of a dictatorship archetype. And then with Aquarius, what we bring in is the power that needs to be distributed. So that's why it's the sign of democracy. So there could be clashes here, for example, between the king and the government, for example. And surely it could bring certain type of scandals and exposures as well, especially connected to high profile people or even institutions. Now, on an individual level, though, there is potentially an identity crisis going on here. And then maybe we have to be reinventing ourselves, thinking about who we are, thinking about what type of talents we've got, and often this might be coming through losses. There could be relationship power dynamics happening as well. Oppositions often happen in our lives when there are relationship crises going down. Maybe it's romantic relationships, maybe these are just friendships, but somehow we're potentially not on the same level. We don't feel equal somehow. So this aspect is asking us to reclaim our personal power. There could be a creative breakthrough as well, though. So, new moon is in the sign of Leo is about creativity. And with Pluto, we scrutinize that. We are trying to remove some of the blockages. And also, it says that we feel so creative, but at the same time, some people might reject our creative ideas, for example. They don't agree with our creative impulses. And even it can represent that you have to be addressing your own fear around visibility. I mean, even it could indicate, though, that there are shadows there that you're meant to be confronting, and that comes from Pluto retrograde. Like I said at the beginning, retrogression is about introspection, looking into your hidden motivations, your fears, your unconscious patterns, and these getting spotlighted by the sun. Somehow those fears are coming onto the stage, kind of like right next to you, holding your hand. Am I going to be able to let go of the hands of those fears and so forth? Maybe it's time to do a bit of a technological detox, or maybe you realize how much technology has taken your life over. Find your own unique voice. So that's one aspect that we see here playing out um, in this cosmic alignment. The next one is a conjunction actually to an asteroid called Eurydice. Its astrological number is 75. If you would like to look it up, where it is in your chart, it is an exact opposite, sorry, conjunction, because Eurydice is almost on 2 degrees as well. Now, Eurydice is named, I mean, she was the wife of Orpheus in Greek mythology. And it was basically a love story which ended up with certain type of loss. I mean, Orpheus attempted to retrieve her wife from Pluto, the god of underworld, and he managed to. But there was one criteria: he could have never looked back. And he did look back. He was about to climb out of the underworld, and then he just wanted to make sure that his wife was with him because he couldn't hear her steps and so forth. And he was not allowed to look back until he reached top of the like climbed out of the underworld basically. And that's why his wife disappeared completely for an eternity. So Eurydice represents loss and retrieval as well. Of course, it's a painful experience of losing someone who is deeply cherished, for example, and you would do anything to get that person back. That's the Eurydice archetype there. Of course, it is something to do with looking back. So this is all about looking back, for example, the past. But Orpheus just hesitated. He had the doubt. He didn't trust the process, and that leads to a loss. So it's kind of like returning to a difficult past, for example, or it's the unseen archetype as well, right? Because I cannot see my wife. My wife is behind me. So there are things that are buried there. There are things that are repressed there, but there are even these karmic ties that Eurydice can represent. It's the power of a voice also, but at the same time, it's kind of like the silent suffering as well. I mean, Orpheus' music was powerful enough to charm the gods to give his wife back to him. So that's how he managed to get his wife. He played the music. And potentially that song tried to express that very deep pain. And it was a beautiful song, apparently. Okay. So, and then he wanted to rescue his wife, kind of like due to unconditional love. It's the asteroid of second chances as well. It's the asteroid of rebirth. So with that new moon and Eurydice together, it really looks like that this is a new moon when we're going to have to be revisiting past losses or wounds as well, because maybe those are holding us back from new beginnings. Because the new moon is a fresh start, but Eurydice represents that in order for us to start fresh, it is necessary to confront or retrieve something that had been lost or left behind. And maybe it is connected to your self-worth, your creative spirit. Maybe it's the capacity for joy. It's the power of trust and believing in the self. I mean, just think about the story around Orpheus. And he looked back, suggested that he had the doubt that he had failed. For example, he jeopardized the entire mission just by looking backwards. So, what it really talks to me about is that trusting the process, that your creative vision is going to play out, is actually super important. Remember, Leo wants to shine and express joy, and Eurydice could highlight where this joy or creativity has been suppressed or lost. Maybe that is going to be telling us why you are not able to reconnect with the little inner child within yourself. And maybe with Pluto being in the picture, it is something super painful. And that's why we just kind of don't want to not control it, but confront it. Or maybe you have been struggling silently for a while. And maybe it tells you to put your ego aside and let your friends, for example, know about your own struggle, because your inner struggles must be recognized. Now, politically, I would say that there are certain type of cover-ups here. There are some losses here that are going to be exposed. Certain type of hidden truth that is coming to the fore, something that is demanding re-examination. Like, it could be related to economic downturns, social programs that had failed, promises that were made but were not delivered. Maybe even it could indicate, unfortunately, a death of a politician or a star as well. Or we can get information about a major star who lost their way somehow. This is about, challenges to these charismatic leaders who look backwards. So, of course, Leo is the archetype of leaders. Often these are very strong leaders, by the way, but they get this scrutiny from political parties, the collective power, people, and so forth. And then they might be looked at as just getting stuck in the old ways, clinging to the old ways. They fail to adapt, or they are just keep talking about past glories, but they are unable to move forward. And that's why they feel the pressure right now, because let's say currently they haven't achieved anything that they wanted to um, deliver. Okay. And I would say that maybe this is kind of like a societal grief and healing. Like there is this big trauma, maybe a very dear person that we might about to lose. And then we will see that people are gathering around the graveyard and so forth, but it could also indicate certain type of a trauma that was not acknowledged or poorly handled. And that is leading to a movement, for example, kind of like asking someone to publicly apologize or to implement new policies so that we can prevent similar scenarios from happening, of course. But on an individual level, this is about reclaiming that lost part of yourself. This is about looking at potentially past relationship dynamics as well, especially if you have felt silenced or lost in the relationship, or you don't feel as powerful or passionate about it anymore, then we might need to remember the past, why we got together at the first place. If you have got creative blockages, kind of like you feel like that the creative spirit died within you. You are unable to express your authentic self, then Eurydice highlights it. And we're gonna have to reignite that little fire within us. And maybe we're gonna have to go down on the underworld and then find it there, grab the ass of that creative spirit out of the underworld, and then just bring it back up. So the Pluto suggests that we're gonna have to go super deep to find that creative spirit that we all had been born with. Maybe you have to be healing for certain type of betrayers and the loss of trust, for example. So this is on one hand a significant aspect. Now, the next aspect that we are going to be having with this new moon is a trine to Saturn and Neptune. Both are retrograde in the sign of Aries, and then we've got a sextile to Uranus in Gemini as well. So this new moon is really spotlighting the mini grand trine that is happening for about 3 years. So, I mean, let's just look at the general themes here. I mean, there is something structured here, something like a structured innovation as well as spiritual, because Neptune is the planet of spirituality, Uranus is innovation, Saturn structures all that. So, what it really feels like is that obviously we have got this new beginning. And then we've got a dream that we would like to make happen, but it needs the foundation. So Saturn is giving us the discipline, the responsibility, the realism here. It says, let's plan these things out. Let's have the intention. Let's plant the seeds, but let's come up with a plan how we're going to water those seeds. And Neptune is kind of like, we don't need a measuring cup. We just need a touch of intuition here. We just need to show love to that plant. We need to be able to connect with our higher ideas, just to make sure that these new beginnings that we are planning is in connection or aligned with our deeper purpose, with our sense of purpose. And the retrograde motions are pretty much telling me that maybe we have already started this new journey, but maybe it wasn't up to scratch, it wasn't planned properly. So something needs to be restructured here, or those ideas that we are kind of like yearning for needs to be re-examined. And of course, retrogression is again talking to us about the past to a certain extent. So a certain type of revisiting past dreams must happen there as well. And then there is the sextile to Uranus in Gemini, which is all about, okay, let's talk about these radical changes. Let's have new ideas. Let's find unconventional solutions in case we run into certain type of hurdles. Let's use innovative communication strategies. Let's try to dismantle a message around this new moon or around that opposition to Pluto, because it's something internal there, and we might not be able to make sense of it immediately. And so I would give you a couple of scenarios, what it actually means, both politically and individually as well. Let's start with the individual element, which is very much about self-discovery. Saturn and Neptune in the sign of Aries, self-discovery. Leo, it's about self-expression. Leo is about the authenticity somehow. So we are finding a practical support from Saturn to build up of who we are. But remember, the journey is a little bit longer than expected. So we need to have the discipline. We need to build a new identity. And with Neptune, let's build the identity that we desire, but in a realistic manner. We must be taking tangible steps towards embodying this true self. And we need to be reevaluating past limitations, Eurydice, as well as, of course, the retrogradations. And that Neptune trine allows you right now to make those deep spiritual and intuitive insights to kind of give you clues about that creative power that you've got. So you might even feel this very strong pull towards talking about your higher purpose, for example, or you might find healing through art, music, or any ways of expressing yourself. It's like you find it brilliant to speak about the past that hurt you because you feel liberated. And that would be Uranus there. Remember, this is really much about healing the past wounds, but in a structured manner. Also, I would say that you might want to be speaking your own truth, but potentially in a new way. Uranus in Gemini is upgrading the way we speak. Let's communicate about that newly found identity, that gift, that party that we are going to, and so forth. Maybe we're going to do that through writing, speaking, teaching, I don't know, using digital platforms, for example. But share your story and be brave about it. Now, on a political level, I mean, I could imagine, with like I said, the leader who is facing this Plutonian opposition, we still get a bit of a help from Saturn and Neptune, though, which with Saturn, I'm just going to be disciplined. I'm going to be taking responsibility where I went wrong. I'm going to be willing to reevaluate my approach to that particular topic. And I'm going to be apologetic somehow. I'm going to be compassionate. I'm going to be trying to place myself in the shoe of others. And that's Neptune. But also, I've got an ideal, Neptune. And then the collective movement, which is Pluto in Aquarius. So I've got this because I want to lead my people to a better place, for example. So there is an ultimate goal here. It's kind of like searching for something new, searching for solutions to humanitarian crisis matters. And it's like a leader who is going to say that, you know what, on the way there, we are going to be losing a couple of good people. Okay, but someone who might make a very inspiring speech. And also, there is something to do with system issues here, potentially. I mean, Leo is the national identity. Saturn really talks to us about a certain type of a system. Uranus make things a little bit chaotic. So it's kind of like having to build a new system, for example, that has been exposed by Pluto, that it doesn't work for the people. So that's why drafting new legislations, establishing a new political party, a new organization, reforming an existing situation or institution, for example, potentially might be happening with that aspect. And we've got a couple of other things to talk us about because we've got also a trine to Hidalgo. And Hidalgo is on 2 degrees of Sagittarius, but also retrograde. Usually I don't talk about trines as much, especially not for asteroids, because they might not be that powerful enough to make changes. But I feel like with this Hidalgo, it's going to be important. Hidalgo is a centaur, actually, and it was named after Miguel Hidalgo Costilla, who was a very key figure in the Mexican War of Independence. And centaurs in astrology often are bridges or bridge the gap between our inner part as well as the society. So what Hidalgo represents in astrology is about breaking free. It's a revolutionary type of energy. Like it's a revolutionary spirit. It's about breaking free from oppressions, established norms, It's about fighting for freedom. It's also challenging boundaries as well, or certain type of rules. I mean, Hidalgo has got a very eccentric orbit. So it's all about pushing the boundaries, going beyond something that isn't accepted from us. So I would call Hidalgo as the underdog, fighting for the underdog. It's kind of like the champion of the common people, basically. Someone who is potentially often overlooked or pushed aside by governmental figures. And also, it's the sacrifices that we make for a cause. So Hidalgo is in the sign of Gemini, which is about truth and philosophy and higher learning and foreign cultures and freedom and expansion. So it really feels like that Hidalgo is really fighting for beliefs, pushing for freedom, pushing for philosophical freedom, questioning certain type of rules and dogmas. So it really feels like what this new moon is going to make or is going to do in the next potentially 6 months is something to do with a change in a system somehow. So I would call, on an individual level, that you are about to be able to discover your cause, something to do with a passion, a drive, finding your mission, and then you believe in that. I would also say that you might be able to go a huge distance for your ideas that you kind of imagine. So it somehow gives you a courage. You've got that fighting spirit there. And you find even your authentic voice during challenging times also. So this is the new moon. Now, maybe it would be a good idea to break that down for all 12 signs. So let's do that. So let me share the screen. I'm going to share the screen so you guys can see exactly what house position everything is in. So let's get started with Aries rising sign. So first of all, the new moon is going to be happening in your fifth house. And one of the good many, and then, so the new moon is in the fifth house. You will see Saturn and Neptune in your first house, Pluto in the 11th house. Hidalgo is going to be in your ninth house. So you might feel this very creative energy. And maybe you are finding a disciplined way to express that unique talent. Maybe you express that talent with a bit of a caution, for example. But this could be a perfect time for a new artistic project or even to kind of like put yourself out there to find a romantic connection. And maybe it is also allowing you to heal a past heartache, for example. And past heartache is only going to be truly healed if we take action about it. Maybe you need to be able to find new ways of communicating your personal vision, for example, to a larger group of people. And maybe you are going to be recognized for all what you do. Some of the bad scenarios or a bad example that could be happening with that is certain type of ego clashes, for example, due to a creative partnership or with children as well. And maybe you kind of feel like that you've got this vision and then it gets stifled by group demands or the society or the collective is forcing you to act differently and so forth. And then you keep looking at your own past failures. And therefore, you are not forming the new identity, but you are jeopardizing the fresh start due to certain type of stubbornness. Okay, let's look at Taurus rising sign. So the new moon is taking place in your fourth house, which is allowing you to start fresh with your parents, with people that you live together with, or even it's a new home. And this could be something where you kind of a little bit more authentic or you're more joyous, for example. Maybe you are able to heal old family wounds as well, or even ancestral patterns, but it has to be structured. This energy is all about, for example, it even supports a new career path for yourself if you are brave enough, for example, to relocate or to leave certain type of expectations behind. Maybe it's a new job that is going to be offering you more freedom somehow, and maybe it's the possibility to work from home. Some of the challenges that could be coming with this new moon is family disputes or issues related to the home, for example, and it could be reaching a crisis point. And let's say you're going to have to make radical restructuring of the home or something to do with your own private foundations as well. And then if you are not willing to let go of old attachments, you are stubbornly clinging onto traditions and so forth, that is preventing you from the rebirth. Now, Gemini rising sign. So a good thing that I can imagine about this new moon, which is by the way taking place in your third house, that you are about to launch a new project. Maybe it's going to be a local community initiative. Maybe you want to be writing about something. This is about expressing your unique voice, giving voice to something. And you want to be potentially sharing your own story. You want to be sharing your teachings. Potentially, you even want to talk about your own past communicational blockages, for example. And maybe it's going to be super well received by others, with Hidalgo being in the seventh house, for example, because you are the voice of not only yourself, but others as well. Maybe the challenging side of this is that there could be misunderstandings or even conflicts, for example, with siblings, neighbors, or within your local community. And it could escalate dramatically with Pluto being part of it. Maybe there are some gossips or verbal abuses that you had received in the past, and then somehow it's resurfacing, and then it is creating certain type of trust issues, or feeling like that someone is heard you, misinterpreted what you have wanted to say, and so forth. So they are overly critical towards you. Cancer rising sign, the new moon is taking place in your second house, which is a new approach to your finances and personal values. Hopefully, this is a time when you are going to be working on a greater self-worth, potentially financial independence. Maybe you are about to start or launch a creative business venture, or you are thinking about new ways of earning money. But maybe you are even healing some old fears around financial losses that you experienced in the past. Obviously, the Saturn-Neptune conjunction is in the 10th house, which is also connected to work. So it might be a work opportunity for you, which comes with a bit more solid foundation as well, and then it makes you feel more secure. Some of the negatives that I can imagine with that is that maybe there is a debt there, or some financial matters that could be popping up out of the blue, for example. And there is that fear there that I don't have enough money saved. Obviously, it's all rooted in the past. Let's say I had a job opportunity, I don't know, 10 years ago, and then I went for it, and then it was a bad decision, and then it created a financial turmoil in my life. So we can be very stubborn about money matters, for example, and therefore it could lead to not being able to embrace the new opportunities to make money. Let's look at Leo rising sign. The new moon is taking place in your first house. And this is really empowering you. This is spotlighting you, Leo rising sign. This is a major rebirth of who you are, your identity. This is about stepping into a new path. Maybe it's a leadership role. Maybe you are ready to embrace your authentic self. Maybe you are ready to process the past. You are ready to get rid of the self-doubt. And because your belief system is changing with Saturn and Neptune there, so you are embodying a new belief system, a new liberated self, and it can become super inspiring to others also. The challenging side of this new moon for you is that you can get bogged down with the losses that you had gone through. The deep-seated fears of not being seen, for example, or dramatic relationships that we allow the partner to control us, where I've got something to kind of express here, but that comes with a clash to the partner's desires who are potentially controlling. So relationship upheavals can be holding us back from this unique opportunity that you might about to experience. Virgo rising sign, so the new moon is taking place in your 12th house, and that potentially is a spiritual awakening. This is deep healing, gaining clarity. Yes, introspective work, surely, having to release old patterns, and even forgiving certain type of past losses. I really feel like that there is this inner transformation and it is impacting actually your daily routines and your health as well. So maybe you just notice that I have to be taking care of the self better. Negatively speaking, though, your own hidden enemy is the self-sabotage. And those are dramatically exposed right now for you. And maybe, yes, there is a sense of vulnerability or fear there. There potentially are unaddressed issues from the past or your subconscious. And then they are resurfacing. And then I'm anxious about it. It might be a health issue. It might be the feeling of being overwhelmed, overworked. And therefore, it might be a struggle for you to find inner peace or trying to control everything in your daily life. Libra rising sign, you've got the new moon in your 11th house, which is potentially starting a new group, meeting a new friend, social networking. You are leading a group of people, for example. You are inspiring a group of people, whether online or in person, doesn't matter. You might be potentially forming new alliances and taking on a creative project with others, for example. Maybe you are even about to start healing all disappointments with friends, or you start trusting potentially people a little bit more again. Negatively speaking, though, it could represent that you are about to get betrayed by a friend of yours, a group of people, or even professional networks as well. Maybe you kind of feel like that, especially in the past, I didn't belong, I didn't feel welcomed, and that's a setback. And maybe that's the reason why, we don't want to start that a new group, for example. You feel like that potentially your creative efforts are not being um, honored or seen somehow. So you might actually isolate yourself from others. And therefore, if you isolate yourself, then you are not sharing, you are not shining. And this is a time for you to shine right now. Scorpio rising sign, we've got your new moon in your 10th house. And on one hand, the good thing about this new moon for you is that it is allowing you to start fresh when it comes to your life direction, your career, or the way you build your public image. It's about getting promoted, becoming a leader somehow, or your creative efforts are gaining public recognition. And you are now ready to express your authentic self. You are ready to heal past setbacks or even public shamings. because I've got a vision and I'm going to create something long lasting. Maybe badly, though, it could indicate power struggles at home or within the family, and that is affecting your public life. It's a work and life balance that potentially someone is not necessarily happy about, or even secrets related to your family background or private life can be exposed, and maybe you fear that your reputation is somehow threatened here. Sagittarius rising sign, you've got the new moon in the ninth house, and this is a new adventure. Maybe I'm about to study something, maybe I'm ready to travel, to relocate. This is truly embodying that adventurous side of yours. Maybe it's a new belief system, it may be a new course, or you are ready to teach something new. And maybe also there could be you know that you've got your own principles and you feel really empowered to figure out your own personal truth. Now, negatively speaking, dogmatic beliefs or rigid belief systems, like getting stuck or get like being clingy to your own truth, can lead to intense conflicts within your immediate environment, like siblings, neighbors, relatives, and so forth. Maybe you are not trusting the process. Maybe you are not trusting your intuitive guidance. You are just stubborn, clinging to the past narratives. And that is preventing you from embracing those new learning opportunities and going on that meaningful long journey. So you can get mentally stagnated. Capricorn rising sign, the new moon is taking place in your eighth house. And the good side of that is potentially you are able to release old fears around vulnerability, power. Maybe it is giving you that new level of emotional intimacy. Maybe past traumas or losses, you are ready to process them. You are ready to heal them, but by being brave. So therefore, it is a rebirth process for you. It is you becoming someone new. Negatively speaking, it could indicate power struggles over finances or possessions, something that is affecting your self-worth. Maybe it's potentially with a partner or a business partner. There could be resentment towards someone as well, or just the fear of letting go of control, somehow creating crisis of your personal values and financial security. There potentially could be blocks there, blocking you emotionally and financially as well. But it really feels like that this is the reinvention of the self. How am I going to make money? And how can I collaborate with others? Aquarius rising sign, we've got the new moon in your seventh house. Positively, I think it's a new beginning, a new relationship. Can be romantic, business, or even therapeutic, but this is giving you a chance to be more authentic, to be more joyous in the partnership. Maybe it's about healing past relationship betrayals, for example. Maybe that allows you to even engage with others, like based on mutual respect. And it allows you, that healing allows you to have a sense of like purification process that you go through. Negatively speaking, though, it could indicate that you are about to have some power struggles with a significant partner or an enemy, someone who is domineering, someone who doesn't allow you to be free, someone who potentially doesn't want to recognize you as an individual. And old relationship wounds can come back, an old partner can come back. And it feels like that making compromises are difficult. So even it can indicate a painful separation. And last but not least, Pisces rising sign. The new moon is taking place in your sixth house. And this is about a new creative daily routine, a new work project, potentially a new approach to health and well-being. So this could be great for you to find a job that aligns with your passion or to implement healthier habits, something that brings you more joy. Maybe you are even healing yourself from certain type of like anxieties from the past. You are making improvements in your life. Negatively speaking, though, this could indicate stress and conflict within your workplace or a health issue that could re-emerge. It might be something that you haven't acknowledged before, but you knew it's kind of there. Or it's a creative frustration as well. Like things are not moving forward. I'm feeling overwhelmed by all the daily responsibilities, and I just want to run away. So, guys, this is the new moon in the sign of Leo. I hope it helps, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.
Through every sign and every house, a journey starts and we allow the universe so vast and true. Astro Viktor, it's here for you.